Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jaya Gopi Java Radhari Jaya Girivardhari Yasodhana Radha Janaran Nandana Ranjana Yamuna Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Jabihari Ranjana Vacha Jaya Radha Kunjabihari Janavala Riparadari Asodanandana Braja Anjana Yamunatira Chari Jaya Radhava Kunjabi Hari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Agyanartimayandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakchurun Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitanyena Bhutaye Swayam Rupa Kadadmayam Tadatisva Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadavetam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bando Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostude Tapt Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shubhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Haripriye Vanda Vasinta Bhutaye Srimate Swaminiti Name Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Veda Gadar Srivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna. So today we're reading from chapter 17, text 7. So before I begin, I'd like to seek the blessings of all the devotees who may be listening online. Thank you. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, Sanskrit recitation. Vedo bhavati priyatadam tesham vedam imanu aharasvapi sarvasya trivedo bhavati priya yagnas tapas tadadanam tesham vedam imam shrinu adarasvasya trivedo bhavati priya yagnas tapanam tesham vedam imam shrinu aharastvapi sarvasya trivido anam tesham vedam imam shrinu. Word for word. Adara, eating. Certainly. Api, also. Of everyone. Trivida, of bhavati, there is. Priya, yagna, sacrifice. Tapa, tata, also. Danam, charity. Tesham, of them. Bedham, the differences. Imam, this. Shrinu, here. And translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Even the food each person prefers is of three kinds, according to the three modes of material nature. The same is true of sacrifices, austerities, and charity. Now hear of the distinctions between them. So, even the food each person prefers is of three kinds, according to the three modes of material nature. The same is true of sacrifices, austerities, and charity. Now hear of the distinctions between them. And purport. In terms of different situations in the modes of nature, there are differences in the manner of eating and performing sacrifices, austerities, and charities. They are not all conducted on the same level. Those who can understand analytically what kind of performances are in what modes of material nature are actually wise. Those who consider all kinds of sacrifice or food or charity to be the same cannot discriminate, and they are foolish. They are missionary workers who advocate that one can do whatever he likes and attain perfection. But these foolish guys are not acting according to the direction of the scriptures. They are manufacturing ways and misleading the people in general. So it mentions even the food each person prefers is of three kinds, according to the three modes of material nature. So this is the same with everything in the material world, is that everything is under the modes of nature, the three material modes of nature. So these modes of nature are ignorance, passion, and goodness. So this is what actually influences everyone in this material world. So things that are under the mode of ignorance, they're generally not enjoyable in the beginning and not enjoyable in the end. Things in the mode of passion, we may begin, but they won't give happiness in the end. And then things in the mode of goodness, they may seem not to give us so much happiness at first, but they're described as like nectar in the end. And this is where we have to come to. We have to actually come to the mode of goodness. So mostly everyone in this world is conditioned by the modes of predominantly of ignorance and passion, and then we have goodness as well, but that's very minute. To actually get properly onto the mode of goodness, we have to actually follow the scriptural injunctions and the process recommended. So when one is actually situated on the mode of goodness, this is a natural progression whereby one can actually transcend the modes. So the mode of goodness is not the goal. And generally people actually, in the mode of goodness, there's downfalls, such as naturally when one is in the mode of goodness, they may be naturally satisfied and happy in their circumstances. And generally one in the mode of goodness is intelligent. And this can also lead to complacency and pride. So also it's not to become comfortable and to seek the mode of goodness. And so once we get to the mode of goodness, naturally that's a progression whereby we can become actual devoted and awaken our bhakti. So bhakti is our devotion. So when one's actually comes to the mode of goodness, then that's when they can actually transcend into pure goodness. So in terms of food stuff, it'll be mentioned. It was mentioned in the verse. It's of three kinds, and this will actually be in the next class. It will be going into more detail and go into this in such detail today. But so things in the mode of food stuff in the mode of goodness is. And so Krishna says, leave a flower said because we offer with devotion, he will accept it. So this is what we have to actually do, is to in in the right actual procedure and scriptural injunctions. Because, as is mentioned, charity and sacrifice, these can also be in the mode of ignorance and passion. Some of this is like Hiranyakashipu, who are demons which are mentioned in the scriptures. So simply just to get boons in which they can become more powerful, they will stand on one leg for such a long time, even that their whole body becomes diminished. The ants are crawling all over their leg, and it's such severe austerity. But for what end is the austerity? So that's the thing, that everything has to be actually not just for our health. If we're just concerned with performing austerities for our own health, that's also in the mode of passion. It may seem good now, but also to what end is that? So ultimately, in the mode of goodness, is what we're trying to seek, which are to actually perform things on the mode of goodness, which will actually give us some devotional benefit. So it's said in terms of naturally that we're creatures of comfort, and we're conditioned by this material world. But to actually become free from that conditioning, and to break away from the modes of nature in terms of passion and ignorance, as I mentioned earlier, that it says it's like, it may seem like poison in the beginning, but it's nectar at the end. So that's why even when we first read Bhagavad Gita, it may seem very strange, and we may not like to even to read even. I was talking about in another class that we can't spend by nature and have a material attachment. That this is actually the compared with the analogy of this. Don't taste sweet to someone who is suffering. Sugar. It may taste regain its natural taste in the end as one becomes cured. And this is like as we begin to identify more with our true self, our spirit soul, which contains the higher qualities, which is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. And as we realize in terms of that eternality, that we're actually eternal servants, and then, but as I was mentioning, in terms of foodstuffs of 3 different kinds. So Krishna, he accepts those things which are in the mode of goodness, which are called sattvic. And it says whatever we eat in this world is naturally tainted by sin. So it's said in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text 13, Lord Krishna says that devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. So the idea is not to become just vegetarian because it's more wholesome. But the thing is that even from a vegetarian diet, if it's not offered to Krishna, and then it's verily only sin, because it's for our own sense enjoyment. So that's the process whereby we actually offer things to Krishna in loving reciprocation. Then Krishna will, obviously Krishna is self-satisfied, and we can't offer anything to Krishna which he doesn't already have. So the analogy is given of like when we offer if we're in the sacred Ganges river and we offer Ganges water back to the Ganges, this is actually similar to offering to Krishna. It's like also when a child may give a picture to his mother, and the mother will say that, it's so lovely and wonderful. So like this, when we offer things to Krishna, he will be pleased and he will accept if we offer it with devotion. And the reason why we do this is because it's also mentioned in the scripture that when we render service to Krishna, there are two things. That when we engage, our senses automatically become and we get free from this material designations. To Krishna, we don't have it goes straight to our and devotional service. And ultimately, control. Jaro pasta vegam. Itan vegam yo visinam. Pritivim sashistya. Radha Kakula Manki. Pranidai ki. Shri Radha ki. So, and that's a Sanskrit and not English. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So that's ultimately, we have to become self-controlled. So ultimately, when we control the tongue, then naturally we can control the belly and then the genitals. So this is the process. And it's mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. One must eat appropriately and not take after food as hogs take after stool. For a human being, there are eatables described in Bhagavad Gita 7:8 as sattvika ahara, or food in the mode of goodness. One should not indulge in eating food in the modes of passion and ignorance. This is called uchitahara, or appropriate eating. One who is always eating meat or drinking liquor, which is eating and drinking in passion and ignorance, must give these things up, so that his real consciousness may be awakened. In this way, one may become peaceful and refreshed. If one is restless or fatigued, one cannot understand the science of God, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.20. Evam prasana manaso bhagavat bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Unless one can become free from the influence of passion and ignorance, he cannot be pacified. And without being pacified, one cannot understand the science of God. So I'm just going to read the prayers which we say in terms of honoring prasadam. And when we offer foodstuffs to Krishna, prasadam, and prasadam means mercy. So this is why we honor it. So, Mahaprasade Govinde, Nama Brahmani Vaishnave, Svapa Punyavatam Rajan, Visvaso Nevajaya. Is this is part of the very far right, if you're not familiar. Byre sa bidya jal, Jodindriya tahikal, Jivale Vasai Gure, Tara Maje Jivayati, Loba Moisurmati, Take Jata Katina Samsare, Krishna Bara Doya Moy, Kori Bara Jiva Jai. This material body is a network and a sense of one's deadly enemies. For the throat, the tongue is most ferocious and uncontrollable, very difficult. Lord Krishna is very merciful and has given us the remnants of his own food just to control the tongue. Now please accept that nectarian Krishna Prasad. I sing the glories of their lordships, Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, and in love call out Chaitanya Nitai. So this prayer by Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he really speaks about the importance we have honor prasad, and this is how we actually control the tongue. So once we actually control the tongue, this will lead us to becoming naturally self-controlled, as is mentioned in the prayer that the tongue is actually the most ferocious of the senses. And also in controlling the tongue, it's also, yes, prasadam, but it's also becoming self-controlled in what we speak, and that's also very important. I wonder if there's any questions so far. Okay. So there was a pastime also in the Mahabharata when Krishna went to into Hastinapur, to the Kuru's kingdom, to actually try and make peace. So this was the actual the last resort which he could take as one of the final resorts that they had to try and through diplomatic means try all they could to actually make peace, to avoid any conflict. So he went there, and he was welcomed by Duryodhan with great opulence, and Duryodhan had prepared a great feast. But when he was offered this feast, which had so many different varieties and it was very opulent, Krishna didn't accept it, and he just wanted to go and stay with his devotee, who was Vidura. And when he went there to Vidura's residence, Vidura wasn't there, but he actually he met Vidura's wife. I can't remember her name right now. and he asked her if he could have some prasadam, and so she wasn't expecting it, and naturally she was very humble and very devoted to Krishna as well, and she was in a haste to try and please the Lord. So she actually she got some bananas, and in her haste she peeled them. Um, in such haste, she took out the actual fruit, threw away the actual inside of the banana, and she gave Krishna the banana skins. So Krishna was very grateful. He took them and he ate the offering. And so you can see the reason from this is that even with all the opulence, the offering, it has to have actual devotion, and this is the most important. It says it in the Bhagavad Gita that we have to actually. The most important thing is if we actually offer from the heart and have a devotional offering, and then this is what will actually please the Lord. And this is what is actually mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. So in terms of the three modes of material nature, this is what is actually what we're all actually under the influence of. And we have to think that, to understand that we're actually not the doers. So in terms of who actually is the doer is the three modes of material nature. And just to actually understand what the three modes of material nature are. So this is actually the Lord's external energy. So this is Maya Devi. And this is actually also, Maya Devi is a personality who is Krishna's representative. So I know I personally had the conception of, before I came to Krishna consciousness, in terms of what is evil, or evil has to be separate from God. But it mentions in the Bhagavad Gita that what is evil is actually, that we have to understand the evil of the process of birth, old age, death and disease. So this whole material world and the external energy is what is evil, but the real evil is our own ignorance and lack of understanding, and this is what actually traps us in this material world. So in terms of Maya Devi, she's actually Krishna's devotee, and ultimately everything is Krishna's energy. The three modes of material nature, whether it's material or spiritual, it's all Krishna's energy. And ultimately, in terms of material and spiritual, this is our own differentiation. So if we have that consciousness, we'll perceive things as material. But if we actually engage things in Krishna's service, such as I mentioned, offering foodstuffs to Krishna, then it becomes spiritualized and transcendental. So when we offer foodstuff, such as on the altar, when the Lord partakes of this and honors it, then it becomes spiritualized and transcendental. And ultimately, it's non-different in Krishna. Okay, so I wonder if there's any questions of any kind. Okay. Okay, so I'd like to thank you very much for being very nice and attentive. And at 7 o'clock we'll have Gaur Arati. So Bhagavad Gita Ki, Shri all devotees. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare